Let's talk to Dr. Airies Davis. She's with the Geese College of Business at the U of I. And Dr. Airies, I don't know, I think we've identified a real problem here, and I know it's something you've given some thought to. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
You deal with this kind of thing. I mean, you've identified people are feeling isolated, and it's no secret. People do. Look at the way we're living these days. And it's become an issue for the entire workforce, and you're kind of working with, people who are in positions to try to make it better. What are you hearing? What are people doing?
I think it's a combination, and you're right. It is the reality of our world. I think what is missing, though, is the true empathetic listening and the ability to really understand that people are people, and they're real, and they're going through real moments. And I think what I am doing is really addressing it from a holistic perspective and calling it what it is, which is the need for mental awareness, the need for care, self-care, the need for practices that allow inclusivity and making sure that there are moments of belonging.
Yeah, I think, never before, or I would say now more than ever before is a better way to say that the culture at work is important. I wonder how I don't think many of my friends or myself, people don't really feel comfortable discussing being stressed out or feeling overburdened because you don't want your job to be in jeopardy. And I wonder if this is on the radar of most employers now. Do you think that they should be doing sort of like kind of checks on everybody? Trying to see how everybody's doing and feeling that mental health portion of the way we're living right now.
Absolutely. I think it's essential, Anna. I think right now, if companies don't address these moments of isolation that is happening, these Zoom zombie moments where we feel as if our fatigue is not real, they will lose individuals, not just in the work, but beyond. There's time for us to really identify self-care as what it is, and that is this authenticity around being able to address it in its realness. It's online work is what I often say, and it requires the same level of self-care.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about that. I just wonder, do you hear from companies actually doing well-being checks on their employees? Is that something that's happening?
Yeah, there's a notion of, there's two things that I've heard and seen quite a bit, and I've used this myself. It is turning off the computers and maybe doing a walk and talk and a check-in. How are you doing? Simply asking that one question, I think, helps significantly, and I do that a lot with my students. There's this new thought of meditation. So anytime I start a meeting or anytime some of the partners that I've worked, they start with a moment of reflection and mindfulness. There's even this thought of expressive meditation, and that's a time for you to take back your emotions and really kind of see and hear and feel what's happening in the real time. So managers are really doing this. It sounds a little flighty, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is actually happening.
Well, and I think it depends on how it's received too. You sort of feel like you don't want to be too intrusive, but you do want to sort of, make sure people kind of have what they need to do their jobs well. And there's just so many. I can't imagine being a manager or the head of a company in this environment right now, because there's just so many different needs. And I hear from my friends who are in that position, and they're hearing questions they've never heard before, and it's a whole new world.
Yeah, it is. But equally, the manager needs self-care as well. And I think that piece is not considered. And the manager is responsible for making sure the business runs, but they also require the same level of attention around their well-being and their wellness. And so while those conversations may seem uncomfortable, what's the worst case scenario if you don't ask? And I think the worst case scenario is burnout. The worst case scenario is individuals transitioning out of their roles. The worst case scenario is a heightened level of mental fatigue. And so I say, instead of getting to that dangerous state of no return, you address it in its realness now versus waiting.
I know you've given a thought to a number of different business issues and workplace issues, and so we need to have you on again, Dr. Airies. But before I let you go, another thing that you have kind of looked at, which I think is helpful to a lot of us, is the top skills that are essential for job seekers in this market. This is a very different sort of market. Can you go through those a little bit with us?
Sure. So I just read an article by McKinsey, and it said about 25% of our workers were previously in a certain industry around more of a traditional e-commerce, automation, et cetera. And now everything has shifted. And so with that shift comes a new need for power skills. And I would say the top 3 skills or traits that are essential for job seekers, especially in this climate. 1, agility, the ability to morph and move and transform your skills. Take those skills and make them transferable. So if you are going into a profession and say your background is in education, but you also have a passion towards creativity, perhaps move into an area that allows you to do both. So agility, 1. Second, the ability to critical think. I mean, right now, we want individuals to ideate, to come up with new ideas, to think about ways that are not the norm. Who would have thought that the DoorDashes and the Uber Eats and all these great places, and even our Geese online business, these new ways of learning have just really developed, but it took someone to critically think. And then finally, the third skill that I think is essential, and it probably trumps the other 2, is empathetic listening, the ability to really understand and have a heightened level of self-awareness, which is about controlling your emotions and understanding the emotions of others. So an empathetic listener, someone who's compassionate, someone who cares, is the third skill.
Yeah, that's good stuff to know. Dr. Airies, where can we go to find out look at some of your work and read some of the things that you publish?
Awesome. So I have a book that I just recently published, and it has one of the best titles I think anyone could ever come up with. And I'm a little biased because it's my title, right? But it is Emotionally Intelligent Wonder Woman. Behold our hero leadership powers at work. And it's through Mission Matters. You can find it on Amazon. And then also my business, which is called Workforce EQI. EQ stands for Emotional Quotient or Emotional Intelligence. Workforce EQI. And I'm on all social media outlets at Airies Davis. Follow me, ping me.
Lots of ways to reach you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Airies. I appreciate your time today. Thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure, Anna. Good luck to you, and be well and be safe.